Joining me is Minister Currie Dixon of the Yukon Legislative Assembly. Minister Dixon was sworn into Cabinet in November of 2011 as the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Economic Development, becoming the youngest Cabinet Minister in Yukon history. And in 2013, he had the Public Service Commission added to his ministerial portfolio. He is presently the youngest Cabinet Minister in Canada and among the youngest in Canadian history. Minister Currie Dixon, thanks so much for joining me today to discuss the Yukon and its rich history of being a very friendly place to mine natural resources.
Thanks very much, Rob.
Well, as mentioned, the Yukon, very friendly, quite historical. For anyone joining us today, not familiar with a lot about the Yukon or maybe its rich history, why don't you spend a minute or two and maybe give us a little bit of that overview?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of folks will be familiar with the gold rush, the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898, and that was sort of what put the Yukon on the map in terms of jurisdiction in the world, and it really was a defining moment for Yukon. It was sort of part of the incentive for Yukon becoming a territory and becoming a distinct region in Canada. Since then, mining has been an incredibly important part of our history, both our economic history as well as our social and the sort of the lifestyle of the Yukon is defined by mining. It's an important part of our economy today, and we're very hopeful that it will be a big part of the Yukon going forward into the future.
Well, the Yukon's the government's support of the industry is quite unique in its jurisdictional approach to promoting investment opportunities. Can you expand on some of the initiatives and goals of the government?
Yeah, of course. Well, basically, as a starting point, the Yukon is too small for us to not work together. So we know that we have to work with our industry partners to promote mining and other economic development activities in the Yukon. So we are try to be at least very proactive in working with industry to promote the industry itself here in the Yukon as well as the entire territory. We've got a number of initiatives that engage industry in a proactive way. One of the ways that we do that is work with a group called the Yukon Mining Alliance, which is 6 leading mining companies in the Yukon that have operations here. And we work with them and go out and market around the world. Our target jurisdictions are Europe, Asia, and the States, looking for investment dollars. And we go alongside, arm in arm with industry to promote their businesses as well as the Yukon mining industry as a whole. And so we're very pleased that this year we'll be hosting the Yukon Investment Pavilion at the Cambridge House Conference in Vancouver. And it's an excellent opportunity for us to have that united front with industry to go out and market the Yukon as an excellent place to invest.
Well, one of the Yukon's biggest challenges as a jurisdiction is energy, and with more than 3 projects anticipated for development and production in the next 5 years, how does the government plan to meet this need?
Well, I mean, we've been well served by the energy infrastructure we have to date. We've got 3 hydro dams currently and an existing hydroelectric grid. But we know that in order for new projects to come online and for our economy and the mining industry to continue to grow, we need to invest and grow our energy infrastructure. So we have a short, medium, and long-term vision for that, and a strategy to achieve that. In the short term, we see LNG and the import of LNG to the territory as an excellent stopgap. A lot of companies are looking at that themselves for their own energy needs, but we're looking at it as well for the entire grid. In the medium or short to medium term, we're doing work with other jurisdictions like the state of Alaska to investigate the possibility of extending the Yukon grid into Alaska, which will open up a whole lot of opportunity for hydro projects both in Yukon and in Alaska. And then in the long term, our premier has been very bullish about the development of a new hydro dam in the territory. And he and the minister responsible have directed the Yukon Energy Corporation to begin the research and planning for a new hydro project in the territory in the future. So we're taking action. We've got a plan, and it includes actions and strategy over the short, medium, and long term.
Well, recently the Yukon's garnered some media attention in regards to the free entry system and First Nation relations that may have some investors worried up there. What are the steps that you guys are being undertaken to mitigate this and increase investor security in investing in the Yukon?
Well, when it comes to First Nations issues in Canada, I think Yukon's on the leading edge. We've got 11 out of 14 First Nations that have finalized land claims agreements, which means that there's absolute certainty about the land and land tenure. And then for those First Nations that don't have self-government agreements or final land claims agreements, there's always more work that needs to be done. But I do have to say that I think both the Yukon government and Yukon First Nations governments see the benefit of a responsible mining industry in the territory. And in fact, one of our operating mines is on Category A First Nation land. So the benefits of mining are well understood by First Nations governments as well as the Yukon government. And what we all want to see is a responsible industry here in the territory. So we encourage companies to do work to involve First Nations communities, not only as stakeholders, but indeed as partners. So we want to see First Nations involved as partners in a lot of these projects, and we've seen some excellent examples of that.
Well, it's certainly been a rough couple of years, and considering the down cycle that the market is in currently, the certainty around permitting is one of the major elements for companies and investors. When they evaluate the projects, the viability, and especially considering timelines and budgets. What efforts are the Yukon government undertaking to support the industry?
Well, we certainly recognize that these are challenging times for the mining industry. Given the fact that the mining industry is so important to Yukon and Yukon's economy, we know that we have to be proactive and we have to be forward-looking in terms of ensuring that we have a stable and competitive environmental assessment and regulatory regime. So we've been successful to date. We've been recognized by things like the Fraser Institute's survey of mining companies, and we were ranked 8th in the world as a mining-friendly jurisdiction. We were even higher ranked for when it comes to mining policy. So we know we've had some success, but if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So we always want to be striving to improve. And that's why we're doing work with our other regulatory institutions in the Yukon, like the Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board, as well as the Yukon Water Board, to ensure that all of our processes are synchronized and that they're consistent, coordinated, and can allow companies to move through them in a timely manner. That's so important for the industry, is that they have consistency and timing well understood. So we're doing that work. We're trying our best to streamline our processes to the best that we can, and we've had a lot of success. One of the other ways we're doing that is hearing directly from industry. The Yukon is the only jurisdiction that I'm aware of in Canada that has a legislative mandate for industry to be involved in the process. We've got what we call the Yukon Mineral Advisory Board, which includes representatives from across the mining sector, and they provide advice to the minister about how to make our process better on an annual basis. So every year that board submits a report to Yukon government, and we are legislatively required to respond to it. So we've got that work underway right now. That board is taking a look at the requirements of our regulatory process right now and finding ways to improve it and make it more timely and consistent.
And what investments is the Yukon government making towards sustaining and growing the mineral sector?
Well, we know that we're a small government, so we can't do all the projects we'd like to do on our own. We know that we need partners. So we've got a number of funding opportunities throughout our government for industry to participate with government on projects. One of the examples I would point to is in my department we have what we call the Strategic Industries Fund, and that allows private companies, mining companies, to seek investment from the government for the planning and development of strategic projects in the Yukon. A really good example is the work we did recently with Western Copper on the extension of the Free Gold Road, which would open up that region for the Casino project, which is a very exciting copper-gold project in central Yukon. So in that case, we split the costs of about $1 million project with the company to do the engineering work to look at the development of that road. So that's just one example of the ways of a way that we are invested financially in the growth of the industry in the Yukon.
In closing, I know we have a conference the 19th and 20th of January, and the Yukon looks to be very well represented there on the Klondike Trail. Why don't you tell anybody who might be interested in coming and seeing what the Yukon's all about and learn a little more about what to expect at the venue?
Yeah, we're going to be hosting the Yukon Investment Pavilion at the Cambridge House Conference there. So myself, as Minister of Economic Development, and the Premier, our Premier Darryl Pawlowski, will be in attendance. And what we're going to be doing is talking to investors, to mining companies, about what we think is an excellent opportunity to invest in a world-class mining district. Yukon, I think, is top notch when it comes to policy, when it comes to geological endowment, and when it comes to infrastructure. And we know we've got more work to do, but we want to really take the opportunity to highlight some of the success we've had to date and to attract additional investment. Our hosting of this Yukon Investment Pavilion is an excellent example of partnership between government and industry. We're co-hosting it with the Yukon Mining Alliance, and we're really excited to get down there and hear from industry about how they view the Yukon, and have the chance to really strut our stuff and wave the flag for Yukon and demonstrate why we think it's such an exciting investment opportunity.
Well said, sir. Minister of Economic Development, Currie Dixon, thank you so much for the informative interview, and appreciate the information that you laid out there for investors.
Thanks a lot, Rob.